Welcome everyone to the BroadBoys podcast. I'm Cade. This is Micah.
Yo.
This is going to be a Switch 2 episode. We're hot off the press of the Switch 2 Direct Showcase, whatever you want to call it. Like literally today, we got to get our thoughts in. We have a lot of thoughts about stuff that was in the presentation, not in the presentation. Micah, how do you feel overall? Scale of 1 to 10.
Let's give it a 6.
That's all right.
Let's give it a 6.
Honestly, that's higher than I was expecting.
So here's my problem.
Well, here,
right?
I'm a 7.
Okay.
So I'm pretty close to you.
Okay.
So that's a bit lower than I was thinking.
I want to tell you what really bugged me.
Okay. Do you want to start with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's go with it.
This has been nagging on me since I watched it.
Okay.
It felt like a lot of the things that they were bragging about was like Apple talking about we changed to USB-C.
Okay.
Because it's like I watched them talk for almost 20 minutes about adding voice chat, something that's been perfected since 2016. You know?
I mean, if you think about it, Skype was before Discord.
No, I know.
And Discord's in that process of being monetized. I'm not defending that. It is a very Nintendo thing to do, to spend a large portion of their time dedicating their hardware to like unnecessary is like the best I can say.
What also was weird is that Discord's figured out how to stream with very little issue at higher frame rates, higher bit rates. And the video they showed of the game share,
it was honest.
It was very honest. It was honestly bad.
It was honest. Yeah, I mean, they've done the same thing every single generation. Like, and in the showcase they also showed like the camera, which is like, who is going to buy the Switch 2 camera?
I don't know.
And you can stream over your 12 FPS stream and all that.
I know. Like, if it was good, that's fine. But also, now I understand most people have a Nintendo subscription, right? But you can't even use it if you don't have one.
Yeah.
Which it just feels like one of those features that's like, Discord is free.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to defend. I'm not defending that at all. I'm just like, yep, this is Nintendo choosing to be very Nintendo with their like, this is the voice chat, and we're going to include in our online stuff. Yada yada.
I think it'll be fine. People are going to use it. People are going to be like, well, why wasn't it added before? It just definitely feels like the whole Apple thing.
They didn't have the C button before.
They didn't have a C, but they didn't have a
How could they do Discord without a C button?
I know.
It took until the Switch 2.
There are definitely upgrades, though. Definitely upgrades. Larger screen. HD, 120 FPS on capable games.
Yes.
Which they used a lot of those phrases during it. It's like
capable,
or compatible. And it's like
up
to. And it's like it feels like what Nvidia did with their 50 series release. And I'm not saying it's going to be like that, but it's just they're using the same verbiage. It's like, I don't care that it's capable of running up to this FPS. Tell me what it's going to run at. It's a console.
It is. I mean, I guess it depends on the game and the optimization.
Yep.
I mean, we're at the end of the Switch 1's lifespan, and a game called Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition just came out, and it might be one of the most like well optimized Switch games that has ever come out. It runs at a smooth 60 FPS, and they're like some first party Nintendo games. Well, mainly Pokemon games is what I'm thinking of, which is technically Game Freak, but you know, whatever, that run like garbage on the Switch. So I think that's why they try to stick to those terms of like vagueness, because if one of their partners decides to make a game that's, you know, poorly optimized, and they could very well make a poorly optimized game as well. I'm not saying that they're immune to that.
No, I know. I definitely. Yeah, I mean the like spec upgrades of the Switch 2 are very nice. Your Joy-Cons having bigger triggers for if you're just using one Joy-Con.
That's very nice.
Very nice. Larger sticks. Very nice.
I think the magnetic lock system will work really well.
I think it will too. I was watching how they were describing it, and it's a full magnetic circuit, which is why they're so strong. And then you just push it, and it cuts the circuit, which is why they snap right off. Yeah. Very ingenious design to put into a small little handle.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to worry about Joy-Con drift at all this generation. That's something that they've kind of already fixed with revisions of newer Joy-Cons. So in terms of like the hardware itself and the dock. I think the dock will be really.
Yeah.
They were showing, like, I was pretty impressed. They were showing like the 120 frames per second. I'm like, all right, you're getting cocky. And then they were showing like the TV settings. And you can set to 4K.
But it's only 4K 60.
Yes.
Doesn't go to 4K 120, which is fine.
Which is fine.
You just fidelity for loss of frames, but that's pretty normal. It's just one of those, like, everyone hyped it up to be like PlayStation in a Switch, and it's not there, obviously.
Okay.
Just based on those specs
just based on the numbers we're seeing for sure. But I'll tell you, the game library that they're getting with their partners, you know, all the other people who are like, all right, I want to jump on the Switch 2 now that the hardware's there. Like, literally, that's one of the biggest takeaways I got from the presentation is, you know, before with the Switch is, you know, you got to have a separate development team work on your Switch edition. This time, they're being like, hey, we're getting all the big boys. They literally started with Elden Ring.
That being said, once again, note the caveats here. All of these extra editions that are coming to it have different titles. So it's Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. You have Hades 2. There was some edition for it, which...
Well, that's just the edition with the 1.0 and all that.
It could imply that they've sacrificed some things to optimize it for the Switch.
Sure.
Could.
Sure.
Don't know.
We don't know.
But I did find it suspicious that they were unique editions for the Switch ports.
Yeah, but not all of them had that.
No, not all of them, but definitely some of the bigger titles did.
Yeah, like some of the, like off the top of my head, I know Tony Hawk 3 and 4 didn't have like that special title and all that. But what was communicated to me, they spent a large amount of time showing like third party and even like not even full gameplay, like the Borderlands 4 guy coming up and be like, hey, Borderlands 4 is going to release on Switch too. Like Hitman World of Assassinations coming to Switch. That was a highlight for me. I think I might even buy that version just because like I like the idea of just being able to hop into a Hitman mission like casually, you know. So
yeah. Talking about whatever, your Joy-Con can be a mouse.
Yes. So I think there is a I think that is a gimmick that people are slightly underrating. I think that could be really big for the kinds of games that could come to Switch.
Depends on how well it operates.
Yes.
But
very true.
Not gonna lie, you can have right and left click. It's just weird on it. You could very easily start porting some simpler PC games onto the Switch, which is huge. That's
I mean, they were showcasing in the Metroid Prime 4 little segment that you can swap between using, you know, your control sticks to aim to having it be like the mouse sensor, and that's how you aim your cursor, which is huge because like there's a lot of like those Nintendo first-person shooters that I'd be like, that'd be amazing if you had keyboard and mouse control. And though you don't get the keyboard, it's kind of very similar.
You don't need it. You still got stick for movement, which is arguably just right there.
So off this, what was your opinion of a drag drive, the double mouse control scheme? Wheelchair basketball.
It feels like a joke. There were a lot of things in there that felt like a joke.
I could not be less interested.
I know. Well, talking about games that are releasing that feel like jokes, they're releasing with it the
oh my gosh, the tour.
The tour. But it's not free. You have to pay for it.
That was probably the most egregious thing in the whole presentation.
Exactly. It's like, you want to learn about your new device? Pay us extra for a curated experience. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was definitely like the biggest, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, Nintendo's always been really conservative about, if we're going to put effort into it, we're going to monetize it, right?
I don't like that.
But that's just so weird.
It is weird. Like, I don't care if it...
Who's buying that?
Exactly. Like, it should be included.
Especially since they're touting, hey, at launch you're going to be able to get all these like games on Switch that wouldn't run on the Switch 1. And then, so at launch versus the Switch 1, which had like 2 games, you're going to be able to get like tons of games, including your backwards compatibility. So why would anyone put their money into buying a Switch 2 tour?
Another interesting point for backwards compatibility. They said, once again, they didn't say all your Switch 1 games would be backwards compatible. They said only the same verbiage where it's like compatible games.
Yeah. No. All right. I can explain that one pretty easily. So have you heard of Nintendo Labo, the cardboard cutouts?
No, I've not.
So they did this whole. They had a lot of peripherals with the Switch one. So one of that was Nintendo Labo, which was kind of a cardboard set that you would fold together to turn into like a race car, and then you put the Joy-Con in.
Okay.
Using the IR sensors, it would interact with the game. You can make like a little piano, or they had this whole like full rig robot.
Okay.
Thing. So those were specifically made for
Switch
1 Joy-Cons. Yep. So that and Ring Fit Adventure. Have you heard of Ring Fit Adventure?
Yes, I have heard of
big circle,
with the big circle. Yep.
So that's why I think that they're saying that. I don't think it's like...
I just didn't like that they didn't use words like most your library or anything like that. They just said all compatible Switch 1 games. And it's just so vague. It feels intentional.
Yeah.
And I guess it just sort of bugs me.
Well, they want to cover their butts, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just... It doesn't give the impression that they think you're going to port most of your games over.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's even porting. It's just, the Switch 2 is going to run like... Yep. I think it's going to run 99% of the library.
Yeah.
The best case scenario is they're like, let's cut out all the slop that was on Switch 1, all the AI-generated games, all the slop games, low effort.
Shovelware.
Let's just get all that shovelware out of here. Because then I'd be like, man, that's the best case. That's why they're saying... most or some compatible, I
do like, so win for consumer. Every game you own is theoretically, if it's compatible, you still own on the Switch 2.
Yes.
Which, very nice. That was a big thing I was worried about, is they weren't going to make that a thing.
Okay.
Even your cartridges will still work.
Yeah.
The only difference is your SD card from your old one isn't compatible.
So it depends. Like my Switch already has a micro SD Express card.
Yeah, the Express card.
So, and most people are already using micro SD Express. The only people that aren't are like kids that specifically got the Nintendo SD card from their Target. So those kids are screwed over.
Yeah.
But you can,
but otherwise,
most people who are buying an SD card for their Switch, they're fine.
Otherwise, you can take your SD card and you can plug it in and it'll update it, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and they're also seeming to loosen up on the game sharing. They talk about the game sharing quite a bit. If one person owns a game, they
still has to be local, though. Yeah, that was mentioned. It had to be local devices. Or you have to be
in the same game chat. You can share over your game chat.
You can share over game chat, yeah.
You got to use the Nintendo Discord to share your games with friends.
So you can do it over game chat, or you could do it over local network.
But it's very reminiscent of the download play from the DS and 3DS, which only one person needed to own the game. Other people, if they were nearby, you could play Mario Kart DS. Like, you can just download it off of there.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar, where if one person owns Mario Party... and you guys want to play, but only one person has it, you can still, using the Nintendo Discord, or if you're nearby, transfer that to the device.
I think it's a great marketing play because it incentivizes everyone who has one to show up with theirs, right?
And this in combination with what they showcased last week, which was the digital game cards, where you can lend out game cards for 2 weeks to other people. It's really seeming like they're really emphasizing digital games. Like they're trying to go digital only, I think.
Which I have some qualms about that, but it's fine.
No, it's just, we don't need to say qualms. It's like horrendous. I hate it. Like, let's get some more physical media.
I don't like that. I'm not allowed to own my games.
You own the license, but that's everything nowadays, and that's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. Yeah.
So, Switch 2 Edition games. Let's talk about that for a second.
Completely creating new versions of games that you already own that have updated compatibilities for the Switch 2.
So I think we can thank Sony for this one. They really, broke new ground with The Last of Us Part 2 remastered.
Like literally just a couple years after it came out.
Yeah, exactly. I think they really broke new ground, and Nintendo really grabbed onto it. It's like, oh, people will do this.
Yeah.
Now, there are some games that I'm glad have a Switch 2 edition. I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom benefit a lot from getting some special attention to detail. Now, that doesn't excuse, that should just be a part of the upgrade process.
Yep.
What I'm really interested to see is what they price it at. If it's like $10, I'll be willing to overlook it.
Yeah, I wonder... So...
I'm not counting on that.
I think it's going to be absolutely egregious if it's a brand new version of the game. Full price, everything else. I think that's going to be absolutely awful.
Well, if you own the game,
if you
can
own
upgrade.
the game already, I should be able to upgrade. I should be able to upgrade for free, but if you're going to put a price on it, let me upgrade for like $10 or something.
Yeah, 10 or less would be ideal.
Yep.
We'll talk about it later about game prices and all that because I doubt it will be $10, but we'll talk about it.
I know Nintendo is leading the charge with we're going to run $70 games.
Oh yeah, you don't even know. So let's Nintendo Switch 2 editions. They're doing 2 Zelda games, which they're also justifying. I think the price tag with we're adding extra stuff so you can connect it to your mobile app and it can GPS you to collectibles. And I don't know if there's anything special with the Metroid Prime 4.
I didn't
Switch
see
2
anything
edition.
in the thing, but
I think it was more of they were developing it for Switch 2.
Updated graphics, updated compatibility. It's going to run better.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of games will just natively run better on the Switch 2 anyway.
I think so too.
But it's just in the game it'll like allow for even better, resolution, frame rate, and all that.
Yeah. HD.
There were some Nintendo Switch 2 edition games that included DLC. So Kirby and the Forgotten Land is getting brand new DLC with its Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Yep.
As well as Mario Party Jamboree. With this Nintendo Switch 2 camera, you can be in the Mario Party.
I know. It puts a little blurb next to your face and you can look at yourself while doing it. I wonder if that works party or if it's just one person. I don't know if it's smart. It's probably a dumb camera, but whatever.
Yeah. I wonder. That's the big thing I'm wondering with that camera. Well, I don't care about the camera. I'm not wondering anything about it.
They added a USB-C to the top.
I like that.
That's great.
I like it.
Beautiful quality of life change.
Yeah, I think the actual piece of hardware is really well designed. I mean, we'll have to see if there's any issues that come up when you give it to millions of people.
I'm thoroughly impressed. It's 4 inches bigger screen. What was it? Went from 13 to 17?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. It was 17 or 19.
But it's substantially bigger.
Yeah, they said almost double the pixels now. It's got HD. Honestly, though, and it's the same width.
And it's the same width, and in handheld mode, it can go up to 120 frames per second as well. Because I know that's the big thing you've always been like. It's locked at 30.
Yeah,
and that's egregious
locked
to you.
at 30 makes me so mad. I really hate locked at 30. Locked at 60, I would tolerate. But now we get 120. I have no qualms with 120. 120 is, I feel like, should be standard if you're hitting a benchmark.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't need my game to run at 144 or 2 whatever the next one up is. It's nice, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
I think 120 over 60 is super noticeable, and I think that's great.
Yeah. Let's go back to the partners a little bit because there was Elden Ring, there was Hitman, but they also had Final Fantasy VII Remake is on there.
They announced a new Souls game.
Yeah, a brand new FromSoft title.
Yep.
Exclusively for the Switch 2.
Yep.
I mean, they're just showing hey, people want to make games for Switch.
I will point out that the translation, and so you can talk about the translation, whatever, said that it's a multiplayer action adventure.
Yes, it's PvPvE.
Yes, which I feel like could just be a Switch 2 version of Night Rain. Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know anything about the game, but it's a brand new IP. Yep. So, I mean, if they were going to kind of half-ass it, why would they make a whole new IP for it?
That's true. It was all new characters, new animation.
It was funny when I saw the trailer, I almost thought it was Bloodborne.
I did too.
Because I saw the shirt and I was like, "That's a FromSoft shirt. That's like the Elden Ring white shirt with the." Yeah, and so I knew it was FromSoft right away, but I was like, "Is it Bloodborne?" They're doing there's the moon right there is the hand, and then the new hand symbol. All right, it's something new, but it's something new that a third party
is putting on a Switch 2 exclusive,
the Switch 2 as an exclusive.
It is.
So they're showing not only are people putting our games on Switch, they're making games for the Switch, which is like a big deal because that's one of probably their weakest points.
Yeah, I would be curious to know going forward if Switch 2 exclusives remain I'm curious to know if they're going to be Switch 2 exclusives or if they're just exclusive at launch.
Yeah, and I can see that happening. That happened with Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, a lot of things with Epic Games.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of that stuff, but even still, that's giving special treatment to a platform that is not really known for like the hardcore gamer. Yep. It's more for the family friendly.
Yeah.
So
I think they're definitely branching out into that more hardcore gamer.
Yeah. I mean, the partners they brought on certainly showed that. They brought up Silksong.
Yeah, first official announced release date.
Yeah.
Of sometime in 2025.
Which, do I hold much stock in that? I don't really
do. It was in the Nintendo Direct.
But in like 2022
I will say, they, before Nintendo Direct, because I was watching it earlier this week, they also updated their Steam registry for it.
Okay.
They updated their copyright date to 2025, and they updated estimated release date to be 2025 on Steam.
Okay.
So
it sounds real.
That coming out, and everyone was like, "Is this real, or is this him just updating his profile page?" And then it dropping on the Nintendo Direct saying, "Oh, by the way, it's coming out in 2025." Yeah. It's like all the stars are aligning.
Yeah, because back in 22 or 23, there was the Xbox, like not E3, but the summer showcase.
Yep.
And they showed Silksong.
Yep.
And they said every game showed in that presentation was coming out within the next year. And on Twitter, someone was like, even Silksong? And they're like, yes, even Silksong. And that did not happen.
Yep.
So I didn't hold much stock in the 2025 number before, but after you saying that, it's making me a lot more excited.
I'm pretty excited. I think it's happening.
You think so?
And there hasn't
been... Listen, I've been on the copium train for a while.
Me too.
So we'll have to see.
I've been waiting for about 2 years. I know there are plenty of people who've been waiting for, but...
Yeah. And they like threw it in like in just the random reel.
Yeah, it's just in there. It was in their like developer sizzle reel or something, which...
something I'm really excited about that I know like only 5 other people are is Square Enix is doing a remaster of Bravely Default 1.
I saw that. I had no clue what it was.
Okay, so you have heard tons of music from it because I play the soundtrack all the time. And the best part about it coming to Switch is the music is not going to be playing from stupid little 3DS speakers.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is, I think it's honestly one of the best soundtracks in all of gaming. Like Bravely Default, that whole series, Bravely Second, and Lair, and Bravely Default 2. Some of the best music like of all of gaming. And you had to listen to it through your 3DS until they put it on Spotify. But it's back, and I'm gonna buy it. It's like, oh, I can't wait.
Talking about music, just for 1 second, this was another thing on the hardware side of things where they were like, and this might be just my lack of knowledge here, but all the verbiage they use made it sound like they just did a driver update to their speakers and didn't actually change any hardware. But they were saying we've revolutionized it, so it's gonna sound so much better coming from your dock.
It sounds like from the dock.
Well, from the dock and from the handheld.
Okay.
And I was just like, but you didn't actually say you upgraded the hardware in any way. You just adjusted balancing, which you could have done with a remote update anyway.
Yeah, I don't know much about the audio.
Yeah,
system.
Once again,
but it is weird. But it's weird how vague they kept it.
I know. They always talk about it's this. I'm keep going back. They played it like an Apple keynote, but not from the good days of Apple keynotes. They played it like a bad Apple keynote.
Yeah. No, I get it. I thought the presentation was great because we haven't even talked about the first-party Nintendo titles.
Yeah, they showed a whole bunch of gameplay for
Mario Kart.
Which, by the way, looking kind of sick. It's looking pretty good.
And they're doing a whole direct for it like next week.
Yup.
So
I am freaking looking forward to that. Now, have they confirmed what the price is going to be on that?
So we'll talk about that. But they talked about Mario Kart. They showed off a ton of gameplay for that. They showed Donkey Kong Bonanza, the first new Donkey Kong game in over a decade. The first new 3D Donkey Kong game in over it's coming around 3 decades now.
Yeah.
It might be 2.5, but since Donkey Kong 64. That was a huge surprise. They like people love Donkey Kong, they think, because that's their showstopper.
Yeah.
In addition to Mario Kart. But I was so surprised. It's a Nintendo 3D platformer, so I think it's going to be great. Yes.
Oh, I was just going to butt in. It's not about new games, but I was very excited that they announced they were going to be uploading most of the library from GameCube into the...
Yes.
Which, super excited, because those are some of my favorite Nintendo games.
And they're releasing a wireless GameCube controller, which I might buy just to play other games.
Yeah, why not?
Because that's one of my favorite controllers. So we'll see if I can get my hands on them with scalpers. But, yes. I think the GameCube games are great. They didn't show Smash Brothers Melee, which is weird to me, because that's a very popular game. Or Mario Kart Double Dash. But, it will probably come in future updates. Then they also announced Kirby Air Riders, which, for those that don't know, Kirby Air Ride was a GameCube game. Super good, in my opinion. It's a super fun party game. They're doing it seems like a sequel or a reimagining or something like that with Masahiro Sakurai, the director of Super Smash Brothers, behind the wheel. So that made me super pumped, super excited, because I already like the core gameplay. And then...
Sorry.
Sakurai is really good at like polish. Like he is so good at polish and giving content and making it so you want to keep playing and playing and playing. I think it's gonna be great, and it's coming this year.
Yeah, a lot of these things are coming this year on release,
which means that we're probably gonna get even more announcements come even June or September.
Which it comes out
June 5th,
June 15th,
June 5th, the 5th. All right, let's
2 months, man.
We have 2 months until I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna buy it day one. Now, is that a great decision? Probably not, but I've been waiting for it for a while.
I'm just gonna see what my wife wants to do.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. They could announce a new Animal Crossing game, and then you're stuck.
Then we're gonna buy it. Yeah,
exactly. So let's talk about probably the hottest topic when it comes to this whole thing. So the price is $450 USD. With the Mario Kart World Bundle, it's $500. But that's not all right. So that's not the worst. But let's get. I think that's pushing it for sure. I really thought it was going to be at the 400 range because it's marketing itself as a family-friendly console.
That is slightly above where I said I think they would have success doing it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's gonna need to be marked down after a bit, depending on how sales do. Summer, come summer, all the Nintendo fans, early adopters, are going to get it.
Yep.
During the holidays, a lot of families are going to get it.
Yeah, I wonder if they have plans for like Christmas to have a 20% off that actually puts it at their retail mark.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. They had to do something similar with the Nintendo 3DS where they marked it way too expensive, especially for a system that had like 2 launch titles. So we'll see what they do with that.
Yeah, I will say with your subscription, you get a lot of the retro and rewind games that they have. So you do get a pretty large library with purchase.
Yeah, it's not like the Switch 1 where you have 1-2 Switch and Breath of the Wild. You can have all your Switch 1 games. And there's not just Mario Kart World, but there's all these partner games that are having their games release. Street Fighter 6, another one that's just like releasing, hey, this is same day as Switch.
And you get like the GameCube games with your Nintendo subscription, and you get all these other games with your subscriptions. And so
and DLC
packs and like all the stuff that if you're playing with a Switch, you have a subscription anyway. So these are just flat upgrades and more games that you get just because you upgraded. So I understand the price tag. Is it going to be competitive in market though?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad they didn't. If they said 500, I would have been like, "There's no way. There's no way it's going to be successful because you're competing with Steam Deck at that point for $50 more." Now it's the low end Steam Deck, but still, you're competing with the Steam Deck.
Yeah. What's Xbox Series X right now?
Right now, I don't know, but at launch it was like 600.
Yeah, it's $500 right now. Yeah. $450 for their
really the best deal in gaming. You could get the Xbox Series S for $300. So. But we're talking about portable systems.
That's true.
And I kind of see them as different things. For sure, I foresee them as different things. So if they went any further, it would have been competing with Steam Deck, and it kind of is already.
I will say, even PlayStation 5 Astrobot bundle is $400.
Yeah. So that's also a 5-year-old console.
Okay. The Pro just doesn't count though.
No, I know.
Oh, even the Pro's been marked down now.
Well, they had to, I'm sure.
The Pro is now $700. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's they're competing with the big dogs of consoles, and then they're also encroaching on like the big dog of portable right now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely because all right, there's a lot of factors to it, and that's not just a cop out. But I was reading some charts about like what game prices were over the years and all that, and if we're tracking with inflation, technically the 450 price tracks. That doesn't mean I think it's like good.
No, absolutely. Well, hey, just small caveats there, right? They're also a Japanese company where this is actually a pretty hefty price for currency conversions. But
yeah, yen to USD. I know the Japanese version of the Switch is running for $350.
I'm sure it's going to be cheaper in Japan.
Yeah, $350 in USD.
Their national audience is going to be, they're paying. It feels weird to not undercut the market a slight bit. Like they're really playing with market value.
They are, and
I'm not a huge fan. Depending on their game releases, my wife might want one, might buy it right away, whatever. It is what it is, but the market as a whole might have my same philosophy and they might do just fine, or they might go, I can wait a year.
Yeah. And I think that's perfectly fine. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be here and defend that price point and other price points. I definitely don't want to come across that way.
Did they announce what Mario Kart was going to cost?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Don't look it up. Okay. Look at me.
Okay.
Look at me.
I'm not going to look it up.
So they're selling Mario Kart World by itself for $80.
Whoa.
$80.
How many maps?
We don't know.
Okay.
So here's the deal. A lot of people are going. That's the thing that's causing the most outrage online right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. I've seen a ton of outrage against why are they selling a Mario Kart game for $80?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying Nintendo is only doing $80 Switch 2 games now. And I don't think that's the case. I think that's a bit of misinformation.
Yeah.
Because the new Donkey Kong game is going to be $70.
That's still
I understand. I'm not trying to be like, yeah, let's settle for 70. I hate that, right? 60 should be where it stays at even through all this. And it's been going up way too fast. The jump from 50 to 60 was at a good time. 60 to 70, it still needed to be a couple years out. Let alone 80.
Yeah, let alone $80 for a game.
But it seems like they're not making the $80 price point like common practice. What's weird is that they're making it seem like, based on what they're pricing their other games at and the way they're talking about Mario Kart, is it's a very specific Mario Kart World thing.
So which makes my question is, Nintendo, this has been my problem with high-priced games for all the console series, and it's the reason why PC exploded so much in the early 2000s is everyone was tired of paying subscriptions for online games, right? And so everyone went to PC. Like, why would I play this game on Xbox where I have to pay an extra subscription when I can just download COD on my computer and play it without your extra subscription?
Yeah.
Same with PlayStation. You can buy PlayStation Network. And so I feel like now the only reason they get away with it is because they're exclusive, right?
Well, I mean, the reason they get away with it is because Nintendo as a company holds on to some of the best developers in the industry. They really care about polish with their first party titles.
Yep.
And they hold on to their characters with an iron grip.
Yep. No,
that's why they can exist in this market.
I get it. It's just $80 for a game that if you want to play online anyway, you need to be paying for the subscription.
Yeah. Which is $20 a year.
Yeah.
I'm not excusing that, but it is like very minimal.
It's gone down, right?
If you want the expansion, whatever, then it's like 60 for a year.
Yep.
But 20 for a year is basically nothing.
I understand that. It's just more of the whole, you are making me pay for a subscription. Almost everybody has a subscription.
Yeah.
And
I mean, nowadays with the monetization that comes after the games, it's like we haven't been paying like 60, 70 bucks. We've been paying sometimes 100, 120.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think Elden Ring, I bought the DLC at full price. I bought the game at full price. And bada bing, bada boom.
There's $100.
100 beans.
Exactly. So it's, I'm I'm pretty upset because I think,
well, so their bundle, they're pricing it at $50 then.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy for a bundle, right? Like,
no, I mean, that's pretty standard even.
Is it?
Yeah, they've been doing that since the Wii U.
No, I know.
PS5 also did the $50 game bundles.
Okay, that's
Xbox did the $50 game bundles. That's pretty standard.
Didn't PS5 give you 2 games for the $50 bundle?
Xbox 360 gave you Kung Fu Panda and Lego Indiana Jones.
I do remember that. Yep. Yep.
But $50 game bundles are pretty standard. I'm just wondering why are they choosing Mario Kart specifically? This is worth $80.
I mean, could it be worth $80 if it's the right game?
I mean, we're gonna see probably next week.
Out.
It's open world, and it's like, I don't know, but that's not a big enough draw to be worth $80.
I was about to say, I don't think open world excuses $80 games. We've had open worlds for years.
It doesn't at all.
$80.
So what does Mario Kart have that makes it worth $80 versus a 3D new 3D platformer from Mario?
100 player races.
They could do that. They have 24 at default. So
if you do 100 player races and you say, yeah, our servers really needed the extra bandwidth to handle it,
that doesn't justify anything. It's the big N. You know, it's like exactly. Like I just don't.
The big N.
They are. So I mean, it's like it's just so crazy to me because they knew that backlash was going to be there.
Yeah,
like 100%. That's why
they
didn't mention the price of the Switch in the presentation. They didn't mention the price of Mario Kart in the presentation because they knew that it was going to have such a bad backlash.
They must have had focus group or something that told them, hey, this is kind of pricey. Like what average consumer, especially right now in the world economy, is feeling like I can shill out this much money for a console.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the international prices because if you use euros, you're talking 90 euros.
Yike.
90 euros for
game.
one
They don't even have region lock for those things then.
No, if you live anywhere in South America, and it's not just Nintendo doing this, but it is crazy that you have to spend this much for one game.
So Nintendo, you said they reduced the price for Japanese currency, which I just totally blanked on.
The yen?
Yen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well,
goodness.
The Japanese Switch 2 is going to equate to about 350 USD.
So that's what I find interesting. They're willing to drop their prices for their Japanese audience, but they've region locked the rest of the world at USD.
Well, I don't know what Mario Kart is costing.
That's fair. That's bonkers. Like, why would the euro still be running off USD?
I don't know. Listen,
no, don't get me wrong. That's not an exclusively Nintendo issue.
No,
it's just you would think Nintendo would understand that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and my thing is like they've always kind of positioned themselves as, hey, we're the family man.
Yeah,
you know, families are gonna have a really hard time buying your system this first year.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Well, especially families that were willing to shill out for 3 Switches for all their kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what I am going to struggle with is now, do they just buy a single Switch 2 and all the kids are going to have to share it? Or has Nintendo positioned themselves where they're like, families are going to have to buy it for all the kids that they bought us which one for?
Maybe they could do a Switch 2 Lite. I bet they're gonna do a Switch 2 OLED because that's an LCD screen on there.
I'm sure they will.
Which if they did OLED, it would be $500 at base probably.
I know. Like I for this price point, that's frustrating. I don't like it.
It is so frustrating because it hurts me because it like immediately takes the wind out of my sails, you know? Like after the presentation, I'm like, let's freaking go. Donkey Kong's back. Yep. Mario Kart looks amazing. Kirby Air Ride by Masahiro Sakurai. And all these partner games, a new exclusive FromSoft title, and then you know, the bills knock on the door and you're like, hey, by the way, you can't really buy any of that.
I just don't get it because you're in a downturn market currently worldwide. Japan has it one of the worst of all. And you're going to release a flagship product that maybe you could justify it being $100 more but really struggles. What is this? Like
it's not even the console price; it's the game price. Everyone is just like, "What is going on?"
The game price is nuts. The console price is nuts. I was thinking 400 would be top. 450 is really pushing it. But then if I have to pay another
$80 for a game,
if I'm gonna spend $500, I'm like, goodness gracious, you can get a PC that runs with a 1060 Ti or a 2070 Super around that price anyway. $800
maybe. But see, all right, so that's the thing, is I needed to take a step back and really like separate like me as a consumer versus like the actual consumer base. Most kids are not going to go build a PC. Most grandparents and parents are not going to be interested in buying a PC. They want the family console. They want,
it just feels like they're riding so much on this whole, people aren't as ignorant about technology anymore. Like they dropped Switch 1 right around COVID, right when you couldn't build a PC if you wanted to. Because
it was 2017. It was a bit before.
Yeah, anyway. But the big explosion was it's COVID. Everyone has a Switch now. And so you were in a moment when a lot of people were tech illiterate. But you also were in a moment now everyone's at home becoming tech literate, or they're just rotting,
Yeah. I mean, but are people going to put in the effort to, build a PC or find that good deal for a $500 30 series laptop?
I feel like people kind of are at this point, because
it's growing for sure. I'll definitely say
Xbox has
that.
taken their hat out of the ring. PlayStation hasn't announced any upcoming console for a bit, so they must be working on something. And then PC market, at least for game price and games sold, makes up more than 50% now.
Yeah.
Which means you're not competing with the 30% of PC Master Race anymore. You're competing with 50% of the market share, saying, hey, our console gets you away from your computer at a better price. But you're looking at it and you're going, I could get a game.
I could get 8 games.
I could get 8 games,
for your Mario Kart.
For your Mario Kart on PC that I could buy that would run most of the games I want at medium 1080p for $800.
Yeah, but you know what? None of those games are going to be Mario Kart.
I understand that, and that's must be where they're leveraging themselves. They're like, people are going to buy our games.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just feels like you have something so good, and then you're going to position it like you're the evil boss. It's carrot on a stick.
It is. I'm just still hung up on why Mario Kart. Why is Mario Kart your $80?
It's because it's the flagship title they're running with.
Yeah, but they could. Then why not have Donkey Kong be the $80 game too?
I guess it's not a flagship title for them.
I mean, they showed it at the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
As their bombshell drop.
Well, then.
So they assume people like Donkey Kong enough.
Maybe they're thinking no one's going to buy Mario Kart off bat, and everyone's going to look at Donkey Kong and be like, it's cheaper. Then everyone's going to buy Donkey Kong, and then they're going to reduce the price of Mario Kart, and everyone's going to buy it because they're like, it's on sale. Nintendo doesn't do sales.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is or why they position it this way. And it was this whole and they lost a lot of consumer trust through nothing but the $80 price point of Mario Kart.
Absolutely.
Like that lost a ton of consumer trust, which is so frustrating because I think, this should be an event where it's like, let's freaking go. We're on the hype train. And now it's like, hold on, we got to take a step back and be like, why are you doing that? Why are you charging
I'm just sitting here being like, I saw it coming.
No, you didn't.
I saw it coming.
Listen,
Nintendo is a greedy monster. It is the final boss of gaming.
Let's wait for GTA 6 price to drop first, I'd say.
I'm still expecting them to be pretty egregious with it, but imagine it drops at $60.
That would be crazy. That'd be an insane timeline.
It'd be best-selling game of all time, and it would just throw a middle finger at every gaming company trying to sell for $70.
Yeah, but it's not made by Valve, it's made by Rockstar.
I know.
So
yeah, why can't more companies just be like Valve?
I don't know. So I'm pretty bummed, but I am really excited for the software. And thankfully, I'm at the point where I don't need to worry about price too much because, I'm like, I've been saving up for the Switch anyway, and I can play my Switch One library on it, and these games I know I'm gonna buy because I like them.
And I'm sure there's a lot of consumers who have a justifiable mindset like that. There could be a reason they had been hinting it for so long.
It just seems so stupid from like a market perspective to have these price points.
Oh, it absolutely is. Like
what
But maybe watch on their store. You're gonna be able to buy it on Klarna. Wouldn't that be funny?
I mean, they already partnered with DoorDash.
I'm just saying.
I can't wait to finance my Mario Kart.
Yeah, I want to finance Mario Kart and finance my Switch too.
Yeah.
Then Nintendo's gonna come knocking on my door when I don't pay it to repossess my.
and they'd be playing the game.
They'd be playing the game.
It's also just like they've been kind of showing over the past like Switch generation, even like at the start of the Switch 2 Direct. It's like, hey, we're passing on to the torch to like all these new people.
Yep.
Here's a guy you've never heard of before. Here's 3 guys you never heard of before for the Switch 2. And they're all super young. And they're not going to retire soon.
Yep.
And it's like, oh wow, they're really like showing like, hey, we're gonna put aside some of our, old timey traditional $80 game.
Yeah.
Paid Switch 2 tour game.
Yeah.
$450 family console.
It's such a
it's Nintendo falling into what they always do every time they get off of a high. After the Wii, there was the Wii U because they got too cocky and a lot of egregious stuff on that point. After the DS, they made the 3DS, which had a terrible launch. They picked it back up. I hope we get more of a 3DS situation with this than a Wii U.
Yeah.
And I think we will.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see them dropping this. They don't have any other console plans, at least none that have even surfaced.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what they do, but they always get really cocky after a win, though I don't really see all the signs of them being super cocky. So I'm still just like, why Mario Kart? This Mario Kart Direct is going to be like, all right, maybe I see why they made it $80. I'm not going to agree with it. I'm never going to agree with it, but I see why they did it. Or I'm going to be like, you egregious, like, how dare you even...
I would love an insider to tell me what it costs to make it, because you're going to sell 1 million copies immediately. Did it cost you $80 million to make this game?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. It's so... Well, there's also a little bit of a trend, and I was reading up on this, on Japanese game developers feel that games are already underpriced. Because, and it's not just a Nintendo thing, it's a whole Japanese developer culture thing.
Yeah.
Because they believe, so much goes into the game that it needs to cost more and all that.
Well, they should talk, not bashing.
I don't agree with that.
Not bashing the culture as a whole, but that's just such like a double standard, considering they overwork and underpay their artists, their voice actors for one of the largest film animation industries in the world, right? Is out of Japan. And you can barely make a living off of being a voice actor or being an artist for one of those shows, or even being a manga writer, unless it blows up, right? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, they should. Well,
they should really look at their culture
as a whole. Should they raise the price and then pay those people more? Is that what they should do then?
No, I think executives should just take a little bit less.
Yeah.
Because they along with America, have massive gaps in what executives take versus what the average producer makes.
Yep. So we'll have to see the direction that it goes. I think right now we're getting a lot of the fallout. Like, I haven't seen, a lot of talk about the games. I've been more seeing talk about $80 for Mario Kart. Yeah. Which is crazy because 60 to 70 already felt too soon, and now we're jumping to 80.
You did not want that look on a new release.
No, it's like so bad. It's such a bad.
Everything has been washed away with that $80 price tag.
Exactly. And if it is worth $80, don't drop the price tag until the direct and show us why.
Exactly. Like, put price TBD on your website or something, Don't drop the price tag knowing it's going to have massive backlash.
I just don't get it. There's so much I don't get. It's Nintendo just being Nintendo as always. But.
Yeah, like, it's not even like a gold edition option. Like,
no.
There's a lot of people who would buy a gold edition option just to support Nintendo.
All right, I will feel better about it being $80 if they're like, hey, here's like all these DLC packs we're going to do for free. If they included that, it's like, it's $80, but we're doing these six
you're
big
gonna
old
get
packs.
6 years of content coming all the time, and you're not going to have to pay for it, right?
Then I'm like, okay, you should have given an option to just have the standard game.
Yeah, and
but
then
I
pay
understand
for the DLC.
why. I just still don't understand.
Yeah, like I bought the deluxe edition of Kingdom Come Deliverance, but they also promised 4 massive DLCs that you just get for an extra $20 when you buy the game versus $20 per DLC.
Yeah,
like,
I bought the gold edition of Street Fighter 6.
Yeah,
I don't regret that decision.
Yeah,
I played it a ton.
Give me the option and tell me what I'm gonna get.
But dropping the $80 with no context is getting people
it's nuts.
Riled up.
Yeah,
for good reason. And I don't want to say the mob was wrong because as of right now, they seemed perfectly right.
Yep.
So let's wait and see. Just like you'll have to wait and see for the next episode of BroadBoys. This was the Switch 2 episode, so hopefully you were interested at least a little bit in the Switch 2. We're super interested in what's coming next, to say the least. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell. Do all the things. Follow us on all the socials. Find Micah's address still out there. So, you guys have a good day.
See ya.